Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, January 20th meeting of the Norton Planning Board. The public is welcome to participate in person or remotely. We are in person here in the Norton Town Hall at 72 East Main Street in the Crane Room. You may also join online via the link. In addition, please feel free to email questions to the board ahead of the meeting as listed in the agenda. I will call this meeting to order. We have a full board in person tonight. I do not believe we have any planning board business or policies. Brian, you want to pass down some bills? Maybe later?
They're currently not at my desk area.
No bills tonight. And no minutes also. First item on our agenda is special permit SP 33 and site plan approval SPR 18 for 61 West Main Street. The owner applicant is Colvo Properties. This applicant seeks to approval of a 4-story top-of-the-shop building and rebuilding an existing food and beverage retail store. This applicant is seeking a continuance to the February 24th meeting.
For the record, Jack Jacoby, 144 Bank Street, representing the applicant. We are seeking continuance. I do want to report to you that the Conservation Commission closed their hearing last week, and we expect their decision at their next meeting.
Chair would entertain a motion.
Motion to continue to the February 24th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Second on our agenda is remand for special permit 30, 0 Mansfield Avenue. The owner is Purcern Home Builders, LLC. The applicant is Allen and Major Associates. The applicant seeks to construct two 36-unit apartment buildings. This application was remanded to the planning board by the Bristol County Superior Court. It has been continued several times already. Good evening.
Good evening. Jack Jacoby, 144 Bank Street, for the applicant. We have very little to present to you tonight. I just want to update you on a couple of things. One is that we need to file with you the A&R plan in order to combine lots D and E, and that plan is in process, and we hope to be able to get that to you for your next meeting. The second thing is that the Conservation Commission closed their hearing last week. We expect a decision at their next meeting. They asked a number of questions, but everything indicated that they are still strongly in favor of having the parking in the front and the buildings in the back. And then finally, we're working on the sewer issues with the commissioners. And just this afternoon, we were notified of a meeting next week with the town manager, Paul, your director, and the Public Works director to start hashing out details. But as you can imagine, getting to construction level plans and getting the all the details down, and especially because the water and sewer commissioners have Weston and Sampson peer reviewing everything, it will take a little bit of time to get that done. But the good news is we do have a meeting next week to talk about the issues. So we have nothing further to present tonight, and we would like to go over to your next meeting.
What's that?
Can I make a...
Tim?
Yeah, and this is more of a comment just to Mr. Jacoby, just so you're understanding. Even though it's mid-January, the town does have an election on April the 11th, and there may be some turnover on the board, so you understand that if you want all the voting members available, that you have a timeline.
I would expect that as long as we can get that A&R plan filed, that we could ask you to close at the next meeting. The worst case scenario would be the second next meeting, but I think that we have every intention of closing during February as long as we've answered all your questions.
I went through all my notes. I don't have anything outstanding other than the outstanding issues with the sewer. Any other members of the board have any other questions we'd like to ask Mr. Jacoby?
Well, I've been going through the bylaw intensely lately. And I found something that pertains to this project, but also two other projects tonight. One of them we just continued. And so in our general requirements, 175-61, Part C, all residential uses that are permitted either by right or by special permit in a commercial zone must meet all the dimensional requirements of the nearest residential zone as it appears on a zoning map. In cases where more than one residential zone applies, the more stringent regulations shall be adhered to. So I just, does this match the requirements of the R60 zone that it's adjacent to?
Are you saying by setbacks, et cetera?
Setbacks, height requirements, the frontage.
So,
I
What was-
certainly can't answer that standing here, but our engineer is here, and he's making a note, and we'll get an answer to that question for you.
Okay.
Steve, what was the
And just by determination of the board for other residential projects in village commercial or VCC.
If I could,
Yeah.
could you give me that citation so I can write it
Yeah,
down?
sorry, it's section 175-61, general requirements, and it's part C.
61C.
And just for a question, you might also want to ask the building commissioner if that is more of a pre-existing non-conforming housing in commercial and industrial zones.
Okay. Yeah, we should. Yeah, it is probably worth a sidebar, Steve, just to talk about, not necessarily tied to a specific project, but.
Mr. Jacoby said he'd look into it and bring it back to the next meeting. So our next two meetings I see is February 3rd or February 24th.
We would like to go over to the 3rd.
I will ask for a public comment since we do have an open public hearing if you're all set. Is anybody here in public, either in person or online, wish to speak? If you're on the Zoom app, please raise your virtual hand. If you'd like to hear in person, please step up to the microphone.
Ellen,
Yes. And just state your name and address for the record, please. Thank you.
My name is Ellen McGrath on 29 Mansfield Ave and on 140. I have a few questions to both the planning board and also the developer regarding to the 236 unit apartments. First of all, I'm curious how much of a communication you've had with the Mass Department of Transportation. That's to the developer. I'd like to know if you've discussed with them about the road plans and the possibility of having a sewer, and how much involvement will the State Department of Transportation will be involved. And who will be responsible for repairing the street if we do have a sewer line? But I think I heard that you would be, the developer would arrange that at the meeting I went to with the water department, because I was curious to hear about the sewer. My next concern is the walkability and the safety concern of the sidewalk. It appears to me that the town does not take care of the sidewalk. And some parts of the sidewalk is very narrow, and the telephone poles are situated right on top of the sidewalk too, so it'd be very hard to have a vehicle go down the sidewalk. So if anybody wanted to walk uptown, it's very difficult, especially today, because I drove through 140 going to my house today, and I noticed a lot of the sidewalk is still covered with ice and snow. And there's no crosswalk nearby. So I can envision people crossing from the apartment buildings near Reservoir Street onto the sidewalk on the other side. And if you have dogs, I mean, if you're going to have so many people living there, it's going to be dangerous. And I'm also thinking, when you have the concerts, the police put a blockade in front of Reservoir Street, so only town people can go down it. So it's going to be chaos. I can imagine people driving into the apartment building, and then also, with the traffic from the concert. So things I kind of envision would happen. But I really think there should be a crosswalk, especially near the apartment buildings, if you're going to do that. blending in with the community. The developer mentioned about there's some bylaw that said something about new structures shall blend with the community, and he said the word blend, a shall, can be stretched, and it could be, have exceptions. So I want to know from the planning board, is that true? Can you change the bylaws to say, oh yeah, you can change the blending to the community? So, okay, so the next question, nobody's talked about this, but how many visitor parking spots are you going to have in the parking lot? And are people able to park along Reservoir Street? They cannot park on Mansfield Ave because that's a state highway. But if you have two 36-unit apartments, I can imagine they're going to have a lot of friends coming over to visit, especially during concert season. So that's what I'd like to know from the developer. Recreation and livability. Now, are you going to let people have dogs? And where are they going to walk? They're going to walk on the sidewalk across the street? All right. And where are the kids going to play? Are they going to play in the conservation area? So yeah, I've lived on Mansfield Ave since 1984, and I've seen a lot of changes. I'm okay for new things to happen, you know, but I really think there should be a lot of thought in blending in, if you're going to do it, with a nice sidewalk, some area for the kids to play. You know, it's just, I think it's just, you're just plopping the apartments down there, and I'm just worried about that. So in summary, the proposed 236-unit apartments on 0 Mansfield Ave raises significant concerns about communication, safety, walkability, community standards, parking, recreation, and traffic congestion.
Thank you. Mr. Jacoby, you want to take, I have that list. I'm sure you took it too. Would you like to respond?
Yeah, there's a few things that we can address. One is that certainly Mass DOT has jurisdiction of 140, but the way the state works things is we can't talk to them unless and until we have the permits we need from the town. It's the way they do things. I wish not only for this project, but for others, that we could get their impact and input early, but we cannot even file an application with them until afterwards. But they certainly will have certain things to say because it is Route 140. With regard to paving the road, that will also be within their jurisdiction, as well as whatever the Water and Sewer Commissioners decide. We are planning on going along the side of the road. Whether we have to do curb-to-curb paving, we will be told whether we have to do that or not. The sidewalk, we are proposing to install the sidewalk all the way in front of our property, all the way just going slightly around the corner on Reservoir. If the town wishes a crosswalk to be constructed, we'll certainly cooperate with making sure that the area on the sidewalk where the crosswalk reaches has the handicap accessibility. We just would need to be told by Public Works or by DOT if because it's 140, one or the other would just need to tell us what to do. So I would imagine that at a pre-construction meeting before we installed the sidewalk, that issue would be resolved. We exceed the number of parking spaces required by the bylaw by 11. In terms of some of the other things, I think they were things that were more subjective than objective. So I'm not sure what I can say about chaos and recreation and livability, but I do want to point out, I think I understood what the speaker was saying when she talked about blending with the community, and that was the standards that are in the bylaw that one of the members brought up at a previous meeting. And as we pointed out, those are prefaced by "to the extent possible," at this point, They are guidelines rather than mandatory. So that's, I think that pretty much covers the issues that were raised by the speaker.
Alan, if I can comment to that.
Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, what he's saying is true, and I want to let the room know that the guidelines that we have for the village commercial, the design guidelines, are exactly that. They're not enforceable as it's written right now. They're just how we wish they would do it. And the whole board here that worked on the zoning bylaw update that went to the last town meeting all agreed that that needed to be changed to mandatory guidelines. The town voted that down, and we can't enforce that until that's changed. That was part of the update, and we all wanted that change. Secondly, the recreation aspect of it. The developer agreed to give somewhere, I think it was around 4.5 acres of land, that whole corner where it splits Reservoir from 140. He was going to give that to the town to be a town parcel, and we would be able to do whatever we wanted with it. Our town manager and conservation, for some reason, said they don't want it. We don't want to take liability on it or have maintenance over it. The developer was willing to do that. The administration said no.
I think, Steve, I think the question was, it's still remaining as open space.
It's
but,
still- well,
but the developer would own it and would pay taxes on it, I think that's what the town manager was trying to define
Right.
there.
It will just remain trees, but they will own it instead of us having ownership and use how we want it. It's up to them how they decide to use it.
Well,
we can make an access, like an easement on it. I don't know how enforceable it is for us. They could choose, I think, to keep it private.
We could.
So, again, part of our bylaw that we can't enforce beyond that, even if we want to.
But the one thing the town manager did ask, and that we agreed to, was that we would deed restrict the property so it could not be developed, that it would remain open space forever. And so we were willing, as you said, to donate it, but the request was that we continue to own it, pay taxes, and be liable for any injuries that occur. But there's certainly space there for residents to use. And if I were the property owner, I'd probably ask to put a few picnic tables or something out there to, make it welcoming. And I can also tell you from speaking with the developer that if townspeople do park in our lot and walk out there, we're not taking license plates.
Thank you.
Good, Steve?
I'm all set, yeah.
I just have one question.
Go ahead.
Is the town obligated to give them sewer connection since they're 0.9 from the town center? We're not obligated, I don't believe,
No,
because
they're-
there is no sewer.
They're putting it in.
I understand that, but are we obligated to give them access to the sewer? That's my question.
Access to the road?
Access to the sewer in the town center. I know they're willing to run the line for 0.9 miles. But are we required to give them access to the sewer? Because I looked at the Mass General laws and I didn't find anything.
That'd be a question for Water and Sewer Department. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions in the room?
Currently not seeing any hands on Zoom.
Cheryl?
If you wanted to see if anyone on.
No one with their hand raised online
Okay,
yet.
sorry. Cheryl Senior, 169 Reservoir Street. I'm just here to reiterate some of the things that I had mentioned before, and wanted to hear what other people had to say. Just remind everyone that Mass DOT did request Serpide to do a study of Route 140 in Norton, Mansfield, and Foxborough. They made that request on behalf of state representatives who had come to the department with traffic and safety pedestrian concerns. That study was published in 2018, I believe, and the recommendation for Route 140 from Smith Street south to the end of Reservoir Street was to limit curb cuts in this particular segment to make the roadway safer for all users, that it would considerably make it safer, and that any curb cuts that do go in should be as narrow as possible. So just wanted to get that back out there. I'm going to assume that the concern, well, I don't want to consume, are the concerns of the board, or that the concerns that people brought to the board concerning noise, overnight lighting, traffic circulation, have they all been addressed at this point?
They've been as addressed as the developer can address them.
Okay.
And they've been as enforced as we can enforce them.
Okay. So the only thing I'll say is that I still feel that a development of this size on this particular parcel will have significant detrimental effects to the neighborhood and the environment as it stands. Just wanted to get that out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room? And I do not see anybody online. So the chair would entertain a motion to continue.
There's now a hand for iPhone and Zoom.
If you have your hand raised in the Zoom, if you'd like to unmute, and please state your name and address for the record, please. You're listed as iPhone only on the Zoom. We'll give them a minute. Is it so?
It has to be spoken. It's to be into record. So we can't accept written comments in the Zoom call.
So we do have questions in the Zoom, and as Brian just stated, we are not allowed by law to take questions out of the Zoom chat. If you would like to make your question to the board, you'll have to unmute and state your name and address for the record, please. I think their hand is down.
Hand came down, but they're still showing as muted.
Yeah, but I think we've talked about water before, and Paul, just to restate, I think Ms. Senior also mentioned light comments. Our lighting regulations talk about quote unquote dark sky compliant, which means that the light from the property should not extend beyond the property line, essentially.
Cannot. No lighting off-site.
And
They
we
came
did
up,
file
yeah.
the lighting plan, which shows that we're dark sky compliant and that we don't spill off the site. And just quickly, with regard to the traffic, we presented the professional traffic report. We paid for your peer reviewer, who also endorsed our traffic report. And finally, the fire department has agreed with the circulation of their equipment through the site and their ability to get in and out.
Thank you. If there's no other questions, the chair would entertain a motion to continue SP 30 for 0 Mansfield Ave to February 3rd.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is definitive Plan 3 and special permit 36 for 0 Pine Street and 0R Pine Street / Wheaton Place. The owner applicant is Norton Land Company, LLC. This applicant seeks to create 21 residential lots as a residential cluster development. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
My name is Bob Forbes from Zenith Consulting Engineers, the engineer who worked on this project. So what we're proposing is this is across the street. Would you like me to put my plans up, or are you guys going to do them on the screen?
Paul's going to bring them up.
Thank you.
You want the cluster development plan?
Yeah, we'll go right from the cover sheet, and then we'll just go right through,
Okay.
if you don't mind. Perfect. I'm not sure if my laser will reach it, but yeah.
Always
perfect.
that one, Bob.
Yeah, what would you rather?
I mean, if it's easier to do either.
Everybody might be able to see this a little better.
Okay. Just an idea.
Thank you.
Just the people on Zoom won't be able to, so if we have to describe what you're talking about, we'll have to do that also.
Oh,
You know
they're
what I'm
not going to
saying?
be able to see any of this? So, okay, so...
They'll see what's being shared, but they won't see where your laser's going, obviously.
So what we're doing is we're proposing a residential development. It's actually it's currently 3 parcels of land that we're going to combine. It's on south side of Pine Street, and this is a project that is proposed being essentially exactly the same as what was proposed by the same developer just down the road on Pine Street, Germain Way and Lloyd Circle, which are currently under construction and being developed at the moment. What it is the existing, if you don't mind, would you flip to the next sheet? Well, thank you. So what this is here, this up the top here, it's just off the sheet now, is Pine Street. This is our parcel highlighted with the gray line around it. Consists of 55.66 acres of land. There are wetlands throughout. These symbols here are wetlands. So there's a wetland system that comes down, and then on this edge of the property is actually a river. Some wetlands on this side as well. What we're proposing to do is a cluster subdivision, wherein we're currently in R80 zoning, so it requires, the conventional subdivision will require 80,000 square foot lots. And we're proposing to do a cluster subdivision, again, similar to Balfour Farm across the street. That would allow us to go to 40,000 square foot lots, but the additional land will be, there are requirements for open space that we meet. We actually meet and exceed on this particular layout. So if you wouldn't mind going to the next sheet. What the cluster subdivision regulations require, I see some familiar faces in the audience and on the board. It requires us to do a conventional layout. In other words, a layout where we divide up the site based on a conventional subdivision layout that, again, in this particular zoning is 80,000 square foot lots. So that's what this lot layout is. We have a roadway, a U-shaped roadway coming off of Pine Street with a cul-de-sac. The roadway meets the requirements for roadways in town, and each lot meets the upland, the full lot requirement and the upland requirement for the lots in the town. What this does is essentially is a yield plan, which yields 21 lots under the conventional layout. This particular plan, the conventional plan, has a wetlands crossing here, a wetlands crossing here, and another wetlands crossing here. So 3 wetlands crossings approximately would be about 15,000 square feet of wetlands impacts. If you wouldn't mind going to the next sheet. This is again the conventional layout, and similar to what we did on the Balfour Farm subdivision, we show house that you can see how large the lots are and how tiny the houses are in comparison to them. That's that 80,000 square foot lot size requirement. So these rectangles are houses, driveway in front, and the very large lots associated with them. We graded out the roadway, and we show potential areas for stormwater management areas. If you wouldn't mind flipping to the next sheet. So this is the cluster subdivision layout that I spoke of. And what it, again, I had mentioned it allows us to go down to 40,000 square foot lot sizes, and we have an open space associated with that, similar to Balfour Farm again. So again, we have a road, showing Road A up here, a U-shaped road, and we have two cul-de-sacs coming off that. These cul-de-sacs meet the town's requirements for maximum length. The Road A, we've developed exactly as we did on the roadway, all of the three roadways on the Balfour Farm subdivision. What we have under this proposal is, again, we have open space. So we're required to have a contiguous open space parcel, and that's what we're doing here. There's a vernal pool down here. We're trying to stay away from that. There's a natural heritage endangered species line approximately where I'm showing the highlighter here. And one of the standards that you'd like to meet with a cluster development is to be able to contain the sensitive or valued areas on the parcel in the open space. So in other words, they don't get developed. So the open space, the contiguous open space requirement is met by this parcel down here. There's also an upland requirement in the open space, and we've met that on this contiguous parcel. But I just want to point out that we're able to have an additional open space. In other words, we can call it a bonus open space parcel here. There are some houses along Pine Street. We wanted to provide open space behind them. And I also want to note that this parcel here, and all of this area down here is conservation land. I'm not sure the exact how it's represented, but this is open space all throughout here. So open space parcels are contiguous to those other open space parcels. If you wouldn't mind flipping to the next sheet. Next one, this is just all this sheet is just it enlarges each lot so you could actually read what all the requirements are for the survey of the lots. Next sheet, please. So just, this is, it's hard to see the whole sheet, but so we have this broken down into two grading and drainage plans. And you can see the wetland systems here that we're trying to avoid as best we can. Essentially, we end up with a total of 24.87 acres of open space, 16.75 contiguous upland open space, and then the total amount of open space, upland open space, is 19.15 acres. So again, we're showing that roadway. You only see a portion of it here because there's a break line here, but that U-shaped road that meets Pine Street, which is up here. We have our cul-de-sac coming off it, and we have a wetlands crossing right here. And on that particular one, we're able to cross that and only have 1,905 square feet of impact to that wetland. If you wouldn't mind flipping to the next sheet, Paul. This is the other half of that U-shaped roadway out to Pine Street, and this is the other cul-de-sac that comes off of that. And we have another wetlands crossing right here. It's a little bit wider, so we were able to cross that with only 3,033 square feet of impact. Total impact less than 5,000, which is for permitting purposes. That was what we were shooting for, to keep it under 5,000, and we have gone over this in concept with the Conservation Commission agent, and he was pleased that we were able to keep it under 5,000 square feet. For the roadway systems, for the semicircular roadway I spoke of, we providing a 50-foot right-of-way, and we're providing 26-foot paved width. Again, like I mentioned, that's similar to the subdivision just on the north side. And the two cul-de-sacs, each of them are less than 1,000 feet long, which is the requirement in town. They have a 40-foot right-of-way and 24-foot paved width. The turnarounds at both cul-de-sacs are exactly the same dimensions that the fire chief was happy with on the Balfour Farm subdivision. And specifically, that's 96-foot diameter pavement and 120-foot diameter right-of-way. As far as the drainage is concerned, we have a series of infiltration/detention basins, very similar to the same. We didn't want to stray too far from the model that we had approved on the north side, so they're very similar. The drainage system, the stormwater drainage system, is very similar to that. We have under all design storm events. There's actually a basin.
Not going to talk back and
the
forth. If
basin
you have
on the
questions,
bottom
we
half
do
of this.
questions after.
Yeah, you can see here's one. Here's the big one. So this is one of our drainage infiltration basins. Here's one here, and on the previous sheet there were two down on the southernmost side. The slope of the land goes highest on this side, and this side, and it all slopes down along with the wetland. The wetland system slopes this way. So all of the drainage slopes that way, so that's where we have to go to the low spots to collect that drainage and manage it. We, again, is similar to the subdivision on the north side. We were asked to keep all the basins on lots and not in the open space, so that's what we've done. We're proposing to have the project served by municipal water and municipal sewer. Very similar, again, to Balfour Farm. So I'd be happy to take any questions, comments.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Bridget.
Do you want to start? The sewer you just mentioned, is that serviced from the same line that is across the street?
Yes. Yeah, there's a force main that there was a stub left out in Pine Street with the understanding that it would be for this project if it ever came down the line, and now we're down the line, so yes.
So Bob, first question. In our system, the fire department hasn't signed off yet. I don't know if you're in communication with them, but we'll have to get them to fully bless everything.
No problem, I'll contact them.
Also, before you stop your presentation, we go to questions. We do have a long list of waivers that you were asking for. We can either address all those now, or we can go to questions now, but I think there's going to be some good questions on the waivers if you want to get into those now.
No problem, I'd be happy. I don't have the list of them in front of me, Mr. Chairman, but I'd be happy to address them if you want to go right through the list. It's almost exactly the same list as Balfour Farm.
Completely different project.
Yeah, but we were actually able to remove a couple of them. That's my only point. We don't have as many as we had over there.
Okay, Paul's going to pull them up so we're on the same page, and then we can go through them one by one.
You're in zero Mansfield.
While we're doing that, Mr. Chair, I just want to
Tim.
mention for anybody in the audience, these plans are available if you want to go to the Norton Planning Board's webpage on the Norton website, and you can go to, there's a big button that says view meetings online and meeting materials. If you click in there, you can go right into a folder where all this lives. So I think I saw at least one person taking a shot with their phone of the map. That's you don't need to do that now. Okay, they should all be in there, but they're updated.
Mr. Chairman, I actually, if anybody's having difficulty finding the requested waiver lists, I have them. I just pulled out my, it's on the cover sheet of the plans, so I'd be happy to go through them if you'd like.
Sure, we can start.
Paul's almost there.
I will say before we even start that, as far as the engineering goes, the way a project like this works for the information of the public, Bob's the engineer on record here. He draws the plans. Then as a board, obviously, we're not engineers. We don't have the background to be able to interpret all this. So the town picks out a peer review engineer that the applicant pays for. The peer review engineer acts on our behalf, goes through all their plans, and then submits what in this case is quite a long list of questions and updates that need to be done to those plans. So that's a back and forth that the applicant's engineer does with the town's engineer throughout the process. And here's the list of waivers requested. Do you want to just go through it yourself?
So now, first waiver, section 4 from section 4.2. These refer to the planning board has the ability to waive not zoning bylaws, regulations, but they're the subdivision rules and regulations. So that's where, when I state the section, that's where that's coming from. So section 4.2 would, to allow, we're asking for a waiver from section 4.2 to allow scales other than 1 inch equals 40 on the plan sheets, and I believe we have a 1 inch equals 50.
I don't think we have a problem with that.
From section 4.2.4 to allow a scale of 1 inch equals 500 feet on the locust plan. That's just on the cover sheet, just to, it showed a little bit better of the area, so that's why we're asking for that waiver. From section 5.3 and 5.6 to allow 1 4-foot wide sidewalk.
I will stop there just to see if any of the members of the board have any questions on that. Typically, I believe in the past, have waived the sidewalk on both sides of the street.
I think it usually has to do with whether there's sidewalk outside of the project.
So just to confirm, the proposal is that there would be sidewalk on one side of the street?
We're asking for 1. It's, again, exactly what we asked for the other time.
Okay. We're all good, we'll move on.
If the board would prefer us not to have a sidewalk, we absolutely can remove it. Number 4 from section 5.3 to allow 1 foot wide Cape Cod berms rather than vertical granite. That's something we went over with the DPW, and they were happy to allow us to do that. I think it makes it easier for plowing purposes. The vertical curb doesn't get banged up, and it looks a little more rural like this subdivision is. That's why we'd ask for that. Number 5, section 5.4.c, to waive the requirement to provide 50 foot of vertical curve length per degree of grade change. Again, that's all that is an engineering issue, and what that, if you provide that, these are requirements that are essentially for like highways. It flattens out everything, and you don't have as the nice curves and stuff in the road. This is not a horizontal curve, but it's a vertical curve, and we want to minimize traffic. We want to minimize the speed that the traffic travels on these roads, and that helps with that.
Tim?
Guys, we don't need to, if it's not called out specifically at this point, but if there are specific points on the circulation plan where you can call out, here's where it doesn't meet the requirement under 5.4c. Sure. To understand, okay, this is where it's maybe a little steep.
Right.
everywhere else is flat, or
We're not.
Yeah.
Let me just we do not have anywhere in this design where we've exceeded the maximum slope of the roads. It's where one. So in other words, if you have two slopes coming down like this, it's this part in here, and the requirements are for a very long curve, which makes people travel faster on that roadway. It doesn't make it any, the sight distances aren't changed or the slopes of the roads aren't changed. It's just that transition between an up and a down or a down and an up.
okay. If my memory serves, which we'll let aside, I think the exit out of the previous project did have a bit of a grade that we talked through.
That's
so I was
correct.
making sure that if that was the case again, that we made sure we paid attention to it.
That's a really good memory. I had forgotten that, but we actually redesigned that, so we didn't exceed any slope coming down the road. Sorry, I lost my place here. Number 6 for section 5.9 to allow open drainage basins. I mean essentially the requirement is saying you can't have an infiltration basin or a detention basin. And we would like to do that. We'd like to comply with stormwater management policy. From number 7, from section 5.17 to allow a driveway lantern on each lot 1 foot back from the right-of-way layout rather than streetlights. Self-explanatory.
Paul, did we accept that waiver in the previous decision?
I'll have to check.
I can check for you. Yes.
Sounds familiar.
So, again, number 8 from section 5.18 to allow a maximum 2 tree plantings per lot in a 10-foot wide tree planting easement rather than a tree every 40 feet on each side of the road. Existing vegetation to remain where possible. Again, the reason we ask for this is sometimes when you have the trees planted exactly every 40 feet, number one, it doesn't look natural. Number two, sometimes those trees get planted in the most advantageous spot for a driveway or, maybe blocking the view of the person's house. What we'd like to do is we ask for that waiver on every subdivision we do, not just this one. And the reason for that is just so we're not trying to get away from planting the trees for the roadway. We're trying to allow the homeowner and or the developer to choose where they go in front of each house to make it more attractive. May possibly get the input of a landscape architect.
I think, Paul, if you can check that one too. I think that one we may have denied in the last one.
If my memory serves correctly, Tim, that's the only one we didn't approve.
You give it a shot anyway. Still looks better. Number 9 from section 6.6.d to allow HDPE pipe with less than 3 feet of cover. So this is, again, we went over this with the DPW and they were happy to allow that. We discussed the benefits of HDPE pipe as opposed to concrete, and the DPW director was sold on that. Number 10 from section 9.1 to allow the proposed roadways to be accepted as town ways at the discretion of the DPW. This one, there was a lot of discussion the last time. This one, the requirements for, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, the requirements for a cluster subdivision state that the road is to remain in private ownership. And we don't have a problem with that, and we didn't have a problem with that last time. The DPW, so the town came to us and said, is there any, what if you guys build the road and we want to accept it? What do we do? So that's the only reason that waiver is in there, to allow the DPW to accept the roadway if they want to at some point in the future. And my understanding is that as explained to us by the DPW director, is the town receives federal funds based on the length of roadway that they have as public roads in town, and it could be advantageous. So as far as we're concerned, it's going to stay private forever. If this just allows the town to take it if they so choose. That's,
Could I comment on number 10 there?
Sure.
Real quick? If we are going to leave a waiver open for the town to accept the road, do we want to make sure that the road is built to whatever standard the town would have to have it at?
That would be my hiccup from
Like
saying yes to this.
If we as a town would be required to have sidewalks on both sides, they need to do sidewalks on both sides.
It's a different animal if it's going to be a town road.
Right. So whatever, if that waiver's in there, you need to build it to the DPW standards, is in my mind.
That's fine, and we will withdraw that waiver. I don't think the DPW will be happy with that, but we will, part of the reason, please, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of the cluster development regulations is to get the slightly narrower roads to be able to waive some things in order to be able to get the maximum amount of open space. Now, if you look at these waivers, there's very few that have to do with roadways in town. So we're basically doing that. But if it's a problem with this board, we'll absolutely withdraw that waiver. From section 9.7.b to waive the requirement of environmental impact statement. We asked for this the last time we withdrew it. We went through and did an environmental impact statement, and there were virtually no questions or comments on it. So we're not, if the board wants us to withdraw that, we will, and we will provide the environmental impact statement again this time. My only point is that I'm not sure if it was of much use to anybody, and it took us about a month and a half to put together. So again, if you'd like us to do it, we will. We're not fighting that at all.
I would definitely err to the side of requiring that, unless we had a fairly strong letter from conservation director or somebody of the same saying there's no reason for it. Other than that, I would.
He did not say that.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him on. I wouldn't ask him. I wouldn't ask him for that. So we'll work. We'll start working on that.
I would absolutely want to keep it.
Yes, I would
given
like to
this
see
site,
Correct.
That's
at
what I
the
was going to
rivers and
say down to you
everything.
anyways. Yeah.
There's a lot of wetlands there, sir. So
Understood. It's going to be, it's going to be very similar to the
plus a
one.
vernal pool. So
Yeah, the other side had 12 vernal pools.
yeah,
No problem. We will withdraw that.
thank you.
You can, I believe, I don't know, do I need to submit a formal request to remove that waiver, or can I do it here? Just we'll remove that
Well,
waiver.
I would,
request.
I would just submit an amended document
Okay.
with the updated
Okay.
waiver list,
No problem.
or amended from the plan.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And other than those waivers, I know we have a fairly big list that I think you just got recently from our peer review engineer that you're going to have to take some time to work through. You probably haven't
Yes, sir.
got through it yet.
Yeah, I got through it today, and there's nothing earth-shattering, but as you said, it's going to take us a while.
Just
Pat's
take some
very
time to
thorough-
get-
He's a very thorough review engineer, and that's a thorough letter.
No one's ever said anything different. I don't have any other questions right now. But actually, only other question I would have, Paul, was there an O&M plan submitted? If it was going to be a
S and
private-
Pat's
there isn't a-
reviewing that.
Pat's on doing it too.
Alan, I got another one.
Steve, go ahead, sir.
Another thing that we as a board should clarify more and have a sit down maybe about, but gerrymandered lots, 175, 6.9. No pork chop, excessively funnel shaped, or unusually gerrymandered lots shall be allowed if the shape is caused solely by an attempt to meet the lot size requirements of these bylaws by evading the bylaw's intent to regulate build and site density. So my question here, and I'm not sure if it's violated or not, is on the subdivision plan where he shows how many lots he can fit on that property. There are a whole bunch of lots on the bottom that look very unusually shaped. They are not exactly rectangular.
So I can address that. The town also has a part of their zoning bylaws is a shape factor. And that's supposed to be able to handle that, so you don't get crazy shaped lots like that. All of these meet that shape factor requirement. That's why you see, if you look at those lots, you're talking about the ones that extend down towards the river.
Yeah.
They are, you've got like an acre and a half of rectangle up in the front of the lots. And then you have additional land in the back. So that's why those are like that. They still meet the shape factor requirements, upland requirement, total area requirement.
And I believe our peer reviewer does obviously look at that plan also. That's a critical way of getting to the,
I suppose so,
Yeah.
but I have to say, like, I do think the lot shape factor, which is a plot within the lot, is different than the lot. And this is calling for gerrymandered lots, not gerrymandered lot shape factor. So whether or not that fits in there, I don't know whether that cancels out the lot itself being gerrymandered. Do each one of these lots within the, I guess, a normal portion contain the full 40,000 or 80,000, not the plot within the lot? I kind of see, I mean, there.
I see.
What would qualify as a gerrymandered lot, if not these?
I always view it as like a flag lot, where you have like a little bit of frontage, and then it goes back and it holds a whole bunch. So it's almost like a flagpole and a flag. That's what I view as like a gerrymandered lot or something like that, where the frontage isn't really contiguous with the rest of the lot. There's probably more examples that you could draw.
Well, right, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
again, it might just be me seeing it, but those lots look
Yeah.
quite zigzaggy. I can't imagine living there and trying to enforce a boundary, setting up a fence, mentioning
Yeah.
where somebody's trespassing. Like, that's a lot of squiggly lines to say that that would be an approvable spot.
it's also a lot of wetlands that you couldn't touch anyway, so.
Yeah. Okay.
We can,
And if
we can ask Mr. Brennan, make sure he considered that.
Okay.
Paul, could you add that to your list? Thank you. Yes, Tim?
Did you have any more, Steve?
No, I think that's good for that.
Okay. So, Paul, this one may be for you, and I apologize in advance. Again, putting my memory to the test, for better or for worse. I think in the initial, when we worked on the previous project, there was some discussion about whether the scope of the project would qualify it for like a higher level of review. I think somebody had mentioned like the Army Corps of Engineers, but phase 1 didn't meet it on its own, and this phase probably may not meet it on its own. I don't know if splitting the development in two pieces takes away that requirement or not. Since when we looked at phase 1, phase 2 didn't exist.
Right.
So I don't know if that's something that we need to worry about or we don't.
That's a question that came up from an abutter, and I need to talk with the conservation agent about that.
Yeah. There's just
So this is not a phase 2 of the first.
I
subdivision.
understand.
This is a totally separate lot. They don't even abut each other. So
But we can.
I understand,
I want to
and
confirm
the
with him
planner
if it
will-
doesn't
yeah.
trigger a threshold
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
or
Yeah.
something else.
yeah.
I
And
actually sorry.
I was going to say the other one's for you, Steve, actually.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I think when we looked at this property at some point in the past, you had mentioned that parts of this lot and the open space, I'll say below it, because I hate compass directions,
I think you got me.
were one of the areas that were potentially allowed for hunting in town. Is that still?
Okay. Yeah, well, that wasn't what I was thinking, but yeah, you're in the range there. It is still distant enough from housing to be huntable. That's whatever. Whoever owns it could hunt there. The space could be used for hunting if the HOA allowed it or whatever. That's not my regulation or ours to say anything. What I was going to say is this site where the rivers meet is actually a historical site. It's where a battle took place between the Wampanoags and the colonists from Taunton at the time. And I don't know if we need to have some review. There's signage out there from the Historical Society marking the sites. Do we need to have a review of this area for historical means? There's a bunch of old cart paths on this. I don't know if they are just our cart paths, native trails, what they are.
I can suggest
Yes.
maybe we could, I'd be happy to look into that in the environmental impact statement if you'd like. I'll do the best I can to find out information on that.
I mean, if
the
you
state
can,
has
great,
anything,
but
we'll
look,
find it.
Still, if the board knows of any information of how to look into that further too.
I know with other projects we did have the Historical Society weighed in with what they knew. Sometimes they didn't know everything, but
we can ask the Norton Historical Society. I'm not the society, but the commission, the Norton Historic Commission.
Three
And also-
groups with similar names.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible the Historical Society has info, but I think our next step would be to ask the Historic Commission.
I appreciate your direction on which historical group that we should ask. And I see Bob Kimball chuckling to himself a little bit in the audience. So I'm done
Do we have
for now.
any other questions from board members at this time?
No, not this time.
If there's no other questions from board members, I'll open up to the public comment. We'll go back and forth between the Zoom app and in person. If you're on Zoom, if you could please raise your virtual hand. In person, if you'd like to step up to the microphone, please name and address for the record. And here's our local historical buff.
Bob Kimball, 51 Pine Street. Lockety Neck is on the other side of the river. It abuts this bottom right-hand corner, but it's on the other side. It's not on the property it's being developed. It's on private property owned by Marshall Martin off of Taunton Avenue. Number of things, just mostly comments, nothing else. First of all, the Chapter 90 money we get for roads, accepting this as a public street, doesn't automatically make it worthwhile to us. We have a number of private organizations, private condo developments and developments in town that have recently come to the board asking many times to consider accepting their streets. And we keep saying no, and they don't understand it because they're taxpayers. Why can't you take our street? Well, first of all, they're not designed by DOT standards. The second part of it is developer has an opportunity to explain this to people when they sell these properties, because 5 years from now, we're taking the heat about how we can't fly the street. So I would disagree that Chapter 90, first of all, the DPW has a brand new director we just hired. I think he's in his second week. I would encourage the planning board to talk to him about what his concerns are, might or might not be on these side streets, because he may have a totally different view than the people that worked there before. And I would find it hard to believe that we would want to accept these streets, because it just doesn't, in the long run, it doesn't pay us to do that. It's going to cost us more.
I think he already kind of accepted to withdraw that waiver request,
Okay.
and that might be a moot point at this point.
Okay. I live on Pine Street, 51. Of course, my neighbor, back in 1986, I could walk across the street, not have to look, not have to pay attention to anything in the neighborhood. That's all changed now. With the new neighbors down the street, the one thing I haven't got complaints on, and I'm on the Traffic Safety Committee also, is some of the new tenants down on Pine Street are starting to complain, we don't have sidewalks, we don't have places for our kids to walk, my kid wants to ride his bike, he can't. I would encourage the planning board in any development of this size to encourage a developer to put sidewalks on the main street. It's nice to have on the side street, but it would be more important to put them on the main so people who are living in these new neighborhoods will have an opportunity to use them. I see quite a few people coming and going down Pine Street, and I've already had 2 complaints to the Traffic Safety Committee about how narrow the road is and the lack of sidewalks and that kind of stuff. So just throwing that out.
I think, not to interrupt you, Bob, I think we could ask for possible sidewalks in front of the project. I'm not sure.
Right.
To the extent of,
I know they're going to be dead end, and the Traffic Safety Committee is looking at possibilities of making some connections down there. We have a couple of problems. We have a bridge we have to deal with. We've got some opportunities to get some grants, but anything that's already done in advance would be helpful. And if you think about Pine Street as it is today, understand that some of the neighbors are already there, but these developments are coming up on both sides of the street, and I don't think it's unrealistic for us to ask for some kind of consideration for sidewalk. That's all I'm saying. Just because it's not in front of the property they're developing, it is connected to a main street. If environmental impacts are very concerning to me. The Rumford River runs across the bottom of that map. I live on it myself, and we have a well just a little bit further down the street. So I would recommend that any environmental studies be done to make sure that the runoff and all of that isn't going to have an impact on the future. Other than that, I mean, they have a right to build there. They have every right to do that. But I think as we progress in this project, in any project in town, you just talked about Zero Mansfield Ave. I recently talked to Justin Chiva, the new DPW director. Chica, the new DPW director. I, for one, don't think that the town should be looking at 4 sewer lines. I think we need to go back, take another look at these force lines. If the developer's putting the money forward to make these force lines available to the town, I think that the town should step up with the developer and say, well, in that case, let's do it right. Let's make it so we have a gravity feed system that everyone can connect to, not right away, but in the future, make sure that's a possibility. And we're running into more and more of these. I have a force feed in front of my house. Comes from Wheaton College, goes back up Plain Street, becomes a gravity feed at the end of it. I can't connect to it. If I wanted to, I can't connect to it. So I think we need to start phasing out these force systems as much as we can and try to take advantage of some of these gravity feed systems as much as we possibly can in the future. So, but other than that, I would reach out to the Historic Society, because the Historic District and the Historical Commission aren't really, the commission really isn't, they're not organized. They're not even meeting anymore. But the Historical Society could give you some insight on what's going on in that area. But again, the Indian battle was on the other side of the river, so it doesn't have any impact on this property.
thank you. Sure, if anyone in person, if you want to step right up.
Hi, my name's Debbie Deitch. I lived at 87 Pine Street. I'm that last house before the project. It's going behind me and beside me. And I don't know that I have a problem with that, but I do want to just make you guys aware of what we've been living through on Pine Street for the last couple of years. The amount of construction that is happening at the same time on Pine Street is just out of control. For one thing I really definitely want to have everybody hear is that I went to the Conservation Commission about a month ago, and they told me that all the work that's been done to look at this was expired. It would need to be looked at again before it went to anywhere else. So I don't know if that's not true, but I went to the planning board and the conservation trying to get a picture of what all those
You can direct
new
all the,
roads were.
You can direct the comments to us, and then we can ask the applicant.
Okay,
please.
that's great.
Thank you.
We are seeing a lot of changes in the water on Pine Street. Behind my house, where it used to be dry and my kids used to build forts, I can see the tops back there, but now they're underwater. So that's a big deal for us. That is a change. You know, when we did the first project and all the houses from the other developer, we were told that there would be no changes. I don't know if anybody here on the planning board drives down Pine Street, but I drive down there to go to the gym in the morning, and where the road gets all curvy like this, the water collects now, and it freezes. And you have to worry about going out into the other side of the road to get around that ice. That is so dangerous. So that brings me to the fact that I'm recently retired, and I used to be able to take a walk on my street. I can no longer walk on Pine Street. There are so many dump trucks, construction trucks, shovels, new people. There are so many cars going down there. I can sometimes look out my window and see the traffic dead stopped in front of my house, like I was on 123. So that's the changes that are going on there. I don't know what it's going to do to the tar in the road. I can tell you that my mailbox is covered in mud all the time from the dump trucks going down the street. So these are things I think we don't consider when we think the construction starts at 6 a.m., the noise. And we've lived through blasting. We have houses going in across the street from me. We have the new road on Germain. We have the houses at the Balfour Farm. And we have the new development on my side of the street. I think we're calling that the south side, further down at the Dions. There is so much construction for one street. I do hope, I don't know if anybody's thought about it, I did hear you say a little bit about it, that we don't lose all the trails back there. So many people use the trails in the back of, right, is that what the little dotted lines are? Are those the trails?
No, the dotted lines are the wetlands.
Oh, sorry. So there are so many trails back there that are used all the time, not just by hunters, but by residents walking their dogs. Because we can't walk on the street anymore, we walk back there. You can walk back there and see, like the painted tree, so that I can find my way back to my house when I'm out there.
Shows the trails.
And just one more thing. I want you to all know how devastating it is to me. I've been a Norton resident for a long time and done a lot of projects around this town. I just spent $30,000 on a sewer. And I came here tonight and heard that my next door neighbor's going to have one. I was told I couldn't have one. We can't have sewers on Pine Street. I thought it was because of the ledge. I don't know if that's a rumor or a truth. But anyway, these are some of the things that us residents on Pine Street will hope you will keep in mind. I don't know if you have the police force to start watching these construction guys go down the road at 60 miles an hour so that I can feel comfortable getting my mail again. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bob, I don't know if there's any comments you'd like to specifically address. I will say, in my mind, the question had come up before you brought it up of multiple construction projects very close together and how that would work is a slight concern. But they are at much different phases at each other, which might help. And not exactly sure when this project would get going, how farther along the other project would be, I guess, would be a consideration. But is there anything you want to address from?
Yeah, I can quickly address a couple of things. So as far as the water goes, this, as I mentioned, the Pine Street is the highest point in your property is above this project. It all essentially goes from the top of that page down to the bottom of the page, essentially. So, yeah. So you're pumping onto this property, not vice versa. So I don't think you're going to have to worry about that. And like I said, all of our stormwater controls are very far away from you.
Thank you. I don't see anybody in Zoom yet with a hand up. Anybody else in person? Yes, sir.
Hi there, I'm Fran Turner, 145 Pine Street. I've got a couple of comments about the requested waivers. First one is about number 7, related to driveway lanterns instead of the streetlights. I agree with that. I think that I like the idea. I wanted to suggest adding as a condition for that waiver that that all outdoor lighting be downward facing. I think that would be, I don't know, from what you guys have done for the other, the Balfour section, I don't know that you've done that specifically, but it seems like the lighting has been low in general. Is that the intent?
You want to just address the comments to us, and then we'll ask him anything to...
Sure. So that's actually my comment is that as a condition of that waiver, if we could add that that lighting be downward facing. I think the specific description would be all outdoor lighting to be full cutoff fixtures, directed light downward to minimize light pollution and glare.
Something very similar to that is in our bylaw and the laws that they have to follow for lighting. It's very similar to what you're stating, yes.
Okay, well, that's good. Some of the other houses, for example, across the street, don't seem to have that, as far as I can tell. Some of them do.
You can't stop people from putting up floodlights, et cetera, on their house. That is going to happen, I'm sure.
Well, what if we add that as a condition for this waiver? Would the planning board be willing to do that?
I don't think so. It seems pretty... Go ahead, Tim. You can phrase it better.
I can't see a reason for government to tell me I can't put a motion sensor light in my garage.
Yeah.
That's my blunt view of it.
Well, this is, the name of this is Wheaton Place Residential Cluster, right? If you go walk around Wheaton College, the majority of lighting is downward facing.
No, we're not saying anything about downward facing, but like their fixtures are different than like a total prohibition on me wanting to have a light in the backyard to watch the kids or in front of the garage when somebody pulls up to deliver a package.
Why not?
I wouldn't be willing to tell someone they can't put a floodlight on their house for security purposes. I wouldn't want someone telling me that, and I wouldn't tell anybody else that.
Well, I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting they be downward facing.
Again, I
Wouldn't-
agree with the board. Whatever on a single family home, whatever kind of lighting somebody wants to put outside. If they want to put Christmas lights or a light shining in their yard for a party that they're having, as long as they're not breaking any laws, that's not our enforcement. If there's a commercial building going in, we'll protect the residents around it from absurd lighting. But we're just very hesitant to put any restrictions on single-family homes. I'm not going to tell you what to do on your home or their home for the same reason.
What about putting that type of description as a condition of this particular requested waiver for the construction phase?
Then
For the
it also comes
construction
down to, like,
phase. For the construction phase, sure. I mean, that's we shouldn't have light spilling off the property a whole lot during the construction phase, and they're probably shut down at night anyway, other than security lighting, maybe.
No, sorry. I mean, as far as the lights that are actually installed on the buildings.
Well, they're houses.
On the houses.
So.
And the light, for example, that's at the end of the driveway.
There isn't going to be any street lighting. We'd be able to regulate that, but not each house.
That's what I think. This is just about the street lights. So
That's what I'm wondering, yes.
Downward facing lanterns at the end of the driveway. No problem at all with that. That's
Okay.
what the waiver is for.
Well, actually,
Are you talking like wall sconces on the houses?
yes.
We can't.
I don't think we
Yeah,
can
we're
regulate
not. We're
that.
not. It's not.
It's past our
Yeah,
jurisdiction.
it's not up to us.
This is the
It would
planning
have
board,
to-
right?
well-
So what is your jurisdiction?
Well, that
The
would be
lights on the street.
that would be covered by the National Electric Code, I believe. Type of lighting, it
I
has
don't
to be.
think so. I think lighting is very specifically. It sounds like it would be within the jurisdiction of this group. Is
It's
that
very
not-
different going from residential to commercial. Commercial, it's within our purview. Residential,
Not single
3
family.
years after the fact, the guy puts a light up on his house that, shines outward. What is the recourse at that point?
Well, that's true. But what about during the construction phase? The construction lights being installed. You're right. Somebody comes along and they put a different light on. their house after they build it, there's not much perhaps I can do about that, but.
We have lighting standards for certain types of buildings, but then we have a whole separate code that deals with what construction, like what happens during construction.
Can I share, Paul? I'll just share the screen here real quick. So our bylaws actually specifically exempt some single-family lighting from our lighting bylaws. So this is our lighting bylaw. The bylaw shall apply to construction of outdoor except for lighting which is accessory use to 1 and 2 family residential dwellings. So our bylaw basically specifically says, this is your lighting bylaw, but this is exempt. So it's outside of our jurisdiction.
Okay.
There was a proposal, I think a couple of years ago, somebody brought to us to change that bylaw. But it wasn't a workable solution because they had an issue with how their neighbor had installed their lights. But it wasn't a workable option at that time. So this is the bylaw right now.
Okay. And because this is a requested waiver, you couldn't put that in as a condition in this case.
This waiver is just from going from streetlights to these lanterns. That's all the waiver is to do with. If we don't grant the waiver, he has to do streetlights.
What he's asking for is less light than what would have been. He's not going to put giant street lights. He's going to just put nice downward-facing lights.
Yep, no, I understand.
But our bylaw specifically prevents us from regulating any lights on the house. We separate from this waiver, and we can't change that. Nor would I personally want to.
I see. Okay.
For single-family houses, I don't want to impose that kind of regulation.
Well, the intent, just so you know, is to reduce light pollution, which, from what I've seen, there hasn't been a lot. They've actually, I think, done a good job of reducing that, minimizing that on the Balfour Farm project. However, some other light, as I've been living in town for 20 years, and I've seen slowly the light, from the sky, sort of light up the environment around our road. And I personally prefer to keep it dark, more of a dark sky. One of the person before this was talking about that. It sounds like lighting actually met the requirements for dark sky projects. And
I think that was a commercial project.
It's a commercial project that wouldn't apply here. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the other next thing I had was requested waiver number 8. That was more related to trees. I don't really have any concerns about where you put the trees. I think they did a good job on the Balfour Farm project. The section that I thought was good and I wanted to support was existing vegetation to remain where possible. I like that idea. I mean, that's in keeping with the kind of the nature of Pine Street. Wherever you can do that, that's great. I think I would suggest that there's not a specific request there, just an encouragement in that regard. 2 other quick things that came up. Sidewalks were mentioned on Pine. Nice idea, but frankly, I think Pine Street is it's a narrow winding road. I think that would make significant. I know that's not part of what you're requesting, so this is a little. I just wanted to address that. I think that would be a big change to the road, and I would be against the idea of adding sidewalks to Pine Street. And third, this is just a comment, or fourth, I should say, comment to what I think Debbie mentioned. There have been a lot of speeding trucks on the road. There's a lot of not speeding trucks on the road. Not complaining to the planning board, but the opportunity to let you guys know, maybe keep an eye on some of your subcontractors, just an FYI. We see a lot of people obeying the law. We see a lot of people that don't. So just a heads up. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
There are some hands in Zoom now, Ellen.
Quite a few.
I don't know who raised your hand first, but we'll go to Sharon's iPad. If you please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Sharon Donovan, and my address is 79 Pine Street. I just wanted to point out that I believe this lot was maybe before the Conservation Committee at one point, and there was some sort of an environmental impact study, and I believe it was within the map zone for endangered species. So I just want to bring that up because that's from quite a few years ago. I also want to point out the fact that when I've had issues with the trucks going very fast up and down the street, and I've reached out to the planning board to find out what we could do, what is the oversight on that, I was told that we should call the Norton Police. So now we're left to call the Norton Police every time we have an issue with, and I counted one day, there was 100 trucks, construction trucks, going up and down the street. So, and that's just with this one project. Well, I think 3 projects now that are going on.
Thank you. Yes,
That's it.
we have nothing we can do about enforcing any sort of traffic on a daily basis. That is what the police department's job would be. If there's any problems, that's who should be notified. There
But
is,
approving over 100 homes to be built on a street that is part of your job.
correct, but not traffic enforcement on a daily basis.
So there will be no trucks then to build these homes.
That's not what I said. I said enforcing traffic laws is not up to the planning board.
But you have to consider the traffic that's already there, and that should be part of this.
Correct. Traffic studies are part of our scope.
And there are construction regulations. We do set directions for when vehicles can go, leave, work, what direction they can leave. We try.
And the hours of operation, because that's been at 6 o'clock in the morning.
6?
6 seems early. I don't know exactly our hours of operation. This project, we haven't discussed hours of operation and construction hours yet. Generally, they do not start till 7.
All right, I know another speaker spoke about that, so I'll bring this up to the building commissioner because they should not be starting at 6 a.m.
Correct.
I could imagine a lot of crew arriving before start time though.
Yeah, like 4:30 in the morning.
I used to start work at 4:30 in the morning.
I thought there was a town rule to not start before 7 and not before 9 on weekends.
We had specific conditions in the decision.
Right.
We even got into, I want to say, backup alarms on the trucks into the conditions.
So all we can do is put in our hours of operations into our decisions, and the enforcement of that is in the building department.
Okay, thank you.
And if you could just lower your hand, I'd appreciate it. If there's... Sure, come on up.
Good evening, Alan Drunas. You mentioned earlier about the construction schedule and what, I just wanted to give you a quick update of what's going on with the work that's presently approved. So Lloyd Circle right now, I believe there's 3 more lots that are available for sale. And then that'll be winding down probably within the next 6 months. And Germain Way will be starting to ramp up. So it won't be like double trouble once we start Germain Way, because Lloyd Circle it's on the end, not the beginning. And I just wanted to give you that update. And pending whenever we get this one approved, it probably would be Germain Way would be winding down when this one would be starting up. Given the fact that we could get the approvals that we need. As far as I know, my trucks at 7 a.m. before we start. Unfortunately, we're not building the houses. I can't control lumber deliveries, sheetrock deliveries, rubbish trucks. That's an enforcement thing that unfortunately has to be done by either through the building inspector or the police department. As far as same thing goes with speeding. If my trucks are
You
speeding,
can control what time subcontractors show
no,
up
you
on.
can't. No, you can't. And
Well, you can.
Sure you can.
Yeah.
Well,
I've
I
been
can.
yelled at plenty of times for being somewhere too early.
Yeah.
If you're violating a start time and making noise too early.
You can be
hey,
fined.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but they got to be fined by. I can't find it. I don't own the property.
I don't like how you're phrasing it, that you have no control over it. You absolutely have control over it. The builder, the licensed contractor on site, they absolutely have control over it.
Okay.
It sounds like it's something we have to bring up with the building department, and we will.
And that's the best way to address it.
Correct.
But again,
It's all the enforcement's on the building inspector.
But I'm just telling you that the construction that we're doing during our whatever we can control, we are controlling it. I agree with you, but I can't control a carpenter working for somebody that is building on a house lot that I don't no longer own. That's all I'm saying to you. I mean,
I think the permit goes with the lot, correct? So as far as I'm concerned, they're restricted under the special permit that you have to abide by. So I
Okay.
believe, yes, you do have, somebody has to be enforcing that. If they're starting at 4:30 in the morning, that's unacceptable. Like if they got
Yeah, I
compressors
don't know.
firing off at 6 a.m., that's unacceptable.
yeah, I'm not familiar with that
Okay?
happening.
It might not be a problem. Two people have brought it up so far.
Okay.
So if one person said it, I might not have given it another thought. Two people have said it already. So maybe there's something there. Maybe we have to look
No,
into it.
that's fine. If it's happening, by all means. Okay, thank you.
Some of the machine work also
You've been
happens.
yelled at, Alan? I can't believe it.
Never. I can't accept yelling from the, if you want to come up after.
All the comments have to be on a microphone.
If it's not from Balfour, do we have any hourly say for, say, one of our A&R projects, Paul?
Well, that would be up to the building commissioner, but again, typically 7 a.m. is the earliest start time, and then typically it's sunset or later in the, might be 7 o'clock in the summertime when construction needs to stop. So we'll check with them.
I just want to say that.
Yeah, do
the
you do your
6
name and address again, please? for the
Sorry,
rec-
Debbie Deitch, 87 Pine Street. The dump trucks that were here and are coming at 6 a.m., and they're coming to the project on the north side that has nothing to do with Lloyd Circle. So, just want to put that out there.
Thank you. Bob B., if you want to unmute and please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, this is Bob Butler, 133 Pine Street.
Thank you.
I have a few concerns, questions. The first thing, I do think that I don't think it's really a bearing on the project's plan, but I do think that the King Philip's War battle, it says it was at the confluence of the Wading and Rumford Rivers, and that's actually like at the bottom of like one of the parcels in this project. So I do think it's part of it, but I don't see any lots being planned near that area. But just wanted to say that. I don't want to get into big historical debate, but so my questions are, the first one, can you bring up the cluster plan map?
He's working to do so now.
Okay, thank you. This is more curiosity. A lot, zoom in a little bit. Let me see. Lot 2, I think it is, or actually Lot 1. So do we really need the road A, to circle back to the right of Lot 1 back to Pine Street? Is there like a specific reason for that? It just seems like you can just have the road A kind of come in on the left side of Lot 2, and I don't see the need for that other road out to Pine Street. Just seems like there'd be less impact on Pine Street if we just had the one road. But I mean, it doesn't really make a huge difference, but just kind of out of curiosity too, why that road is needed. The other thing, a couple other things, is I think we had LEC environmental consultants for projects on the other side of the road, Lloyd Circle and Germain Way. Didn't know if that was something, I think maybe the Conservation Commission had hired them, but I didn't know if that was something we would use for this project, have some more environmental help. Another question I had was about the cart paths and all the wetlands and forest and the river, everything else, and that the cart paths go through. Concerned about dirt bikes and ATVs once construction begins on the road or the roads. There's going to be a lot of access for ATVs and dirt bikes to get out and go through those new roads and out into the trails. I think that's a concern, like just ripping up the trails and impacting the wildlife out there and everything else. I didn't know if there's something that could be done, maybe like where there's entrances to those cart paths where the construction's gone through. Maybe some like large boulders or large logs or something to be placed during the construction phase. And then at the end of the construction, I think at the end of one of the roads, Road C, looks like there's an opening out to the open space, and I was wondering if like maybe a gate or something should be put there so no vehicles can get out that way. So that was another concern I had. And then, so I think Al kind of mentioned, I think Lloyd's Circle is almost complete as far as the house is being built, and then Germain Way will get underway. I was hoping, like, I know, these would take a while to be built, these roads. I'm hoping Germain Way would have to be, pretty much fully built as far as the houses go, before any new houses could be built on these lots here. So I want to see if that was the plan going forward with that. I think that's everything.
Thank you. I'll ask the applicant to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So LEC Environmental is involved. Mr. Andrunas hired them the last time, and he's hired them again this time. They're going to be the ones who are they'll actually be doing the environmental impact statement, and they're the ones dealing with the Conservation Commission because they are very good. I agree. Roadway layout. The reason why we have that U-shaped road going out to Pine Street is if we didn't, it would be 21 lots on a cul-de-sac, essentially. We could remove it. I don't know if the fire chief would be thrilled about that, but we could absolutely look into that. It isn't necessary as far as access to the site. You're right about that. Also, I mentioned we would need additional waivers for length of the cul-de-sacs. We don't need that now. And the gate to the access to the open space is absolutely at the planning board's discretion. If you guys would like us to do that, we do it. I figured people would want to. We have to provide access to the open space, and that's where we chose to do it. But if the planning board wants a gate there, we'll put a gate there. Not a problem.
Thank you. Sir?
Go ahead.
Andrew Deitch. If you're on the Zoom app, if you could please
Go to the
silence.
react option and put your hand up rather than just turn off the mic.
I think they're good now. Sorry, sir. Go ahead.
That's all right. Andrew Deitch, 87 Pine Street. I know that my wife and a couple of other people have brought up the water and that it's all sloping down from where I am. But I'm afraid that these houses that are around there are all going to have to be lifted up a little bit. If they're lower than I am, I don't know how they're going to keep water out of their basements, quite frankly, which means they may have to be lifted up. What happens to all that runoff? Are they going to be able to control all of that water and keep it out from my yard or back there where when it rained heavily last year, It was flooded. I've never seen water back there. And it was across there and all flooded through those wetlands that don't really show, but we were flooded out from all of that, from that, the one that runs along the corner there. So how do they control that water from flooding everybody out?
So, you want me to give my stormwater regulation explanation again?
We can, or we can let Bob explain it after. If you want to ask all your questions, and then
No, that's really all. I'm very concerned about that, the use, where the water's going to go.
we'll have the
and how they're
engineer
gonna
answer.
handle
The
it.
short answer is they're not adding water; they're help maintaining it more. But he'll answer his
All right,
engineering.
thank you.
And we're going to cut off Tim Stoll out of bylaw diatribe for now.
I'd rather have Tim explain it, to be honest with you. So what happens is when you do a stormwater design is you make a computer model of the existing condition, which essentially now is woods. We have woods, so you have very little runoff from woods in general. Then you do a model of the post-development, and that includes everything that you've got. You've got some remaining woods because you're not taking down all the woods. You've got lawn, you've got driveways, you've got sidewalks, you've got paved roads, roof runoff. And what our requirement, and that's what Mr. Brennan, who is working for the town, is reviewing what we've done. We've already submitted a stormwater management plan. And he's reviewed it and has comments on it. But what we do is we collect all of that water in these stormwater basins that we were discussing earlier. And what it does is it collects that water, infiltrates the majority of it into the ground, and then meters it out slowly. So you have these big, huge collection ponds with little either infiltration, and in this case, infiltration and up higher, small outlet pipe. So it meters the water out. And what our requirement is that we have to show that in post-development, we have a lower runoff rate than in pre-development. And that's what we've done. And that's what Mr. Brennan is reviewing now about that, to make sure that we've done it correctly.
Tim, his explanation is better than yours. Thank you.
Fair. That's why I'm not an engineer.
Order?
We have two in the Zoom now. Yeah.
Ogilvy, if you could please unmute and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi there, Bailey and Andrew Ogilvy. Our address is 116 Pine Street. I have a few questions and my husband has a couple questions. We have been here for a little over 2 years, and we can definitely connect to the concerns about the increase of construction. It's been ongoing since we moved in. I had a question about Road A, sort of coming off of Bob B's comments. I'm confused why there's two entrances. We literally live right across the street from the entrance on the right of the curve on Road A. Is there any plan to help manage, car lights when coming in and coming out? Is there a grade? Is there a turn? Is there something? Because they're going to be coming right into mine and our neighbors' houses. That's a huge concern for us. And if it's not needed to have two entrances, which I don't know, seems excessive, I think that one is fine. But that's one of my main concerns in terms of coming in and coming out. They're coming right into our driveway. I'm also concerned about people using our driveway as a turnaround.
If you want to just list all your questions, and then we'll have the applicant respond when you're done.
Yes, my name's Andrew Ogilvy, 116 Pine Street here. I just had a, question or clarifying question on section 5.4C. I think with respect to, I think maybe the providing 50 feet of vertical curve length. Just so I'm understanding this correctly, is the request to waive the typical amount of frontage or, angle to avoid or increase water runoff? I guess where I'm going with this question or clarifying question is this area of Pine Street already has really bad stormwater management issues. There's ponding all over the street. It's been echoed by a couple people on this call. Just curious if the waiver and granting this waiver will increase stormwater issues that are already present on Pine Street.
Are those your only two questions?
Yes.
I'll have the applicant respond to you.
So the stormwater question is simple. None of our roads drain into Pine Street. They drain the opposite direction. They drain into this property. That waiver has nothing to do with stormwater. It literally has to do with the geometry of the roadways. What else did we have? The second entrance. Again, I mean, I can ask, I'm not sure the planning board would want us to remove that second entrance, but I can, if the planning board does want us to look into that, I can talk to the traffic engineer, see if there's any negative impacts from that. I mean, we need a waiver for, it looks like about a 3,000 foot long cul-de-sac at that point.
Are you also looping the sewer line on that?
What's that?
Are you looping a sewer line or a water line on that too?
The water line will loop, yes, the water line's gonna loop.
But on that, is that what the loop would do probably?
The loop is going to help with the water loop, but we can put the water line under the ground without a roadway there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, you're not,
We can loop
because the road doesn't exist, you're not tied to it, never mind.
Correct.
Yeah.
We can talk out of board about if we want to talk about getting rid of a entrance and exit. My gut feeling right off the bat, not seeing where driveways or anything line up, maybe there's a chance, Bob, you could show, or we could get a plan showing how the driveway does line up with the neighbors. Maybe there's a way that we can make it not line up perfectly. But I do see how two exits and entries could be advantageous, especially with that little bend in the road there. You can pick which way you want to go in and out, and it kind of will prevent less queuing, excuse me, while pulling out if that ever became a problem. But as a board, we can think about that and get back to the applicant.
Can I ask one more question? I'm sorry. This is 116 Pine.
Yes, we're going to have a plan, and we will show the roadway and how it lines up with the driveways and the houses across the street. And if there's any opportunity to improve the way it's laid out now, we will try to.
Am I able to ask one more clarifying question? I'm sorry. This
Sure.
is 169. Thank you. So it's just so I'm understanding correctly, is the plan so far as it is now that there'll be little to no fill added to this site? Because I believe the properties, the 3 or 4 that were built right across the street required 7 or 8 feet of fill in some places to raise the lots. And I'm curious, with that, there's absolutely water runoff, and I think that's a lot of the collective concern of what this development might cause, and that there is water runoff coming from the site onto Pine.
Again, the stormwater management plan that we've submitted and is being reviewed clearly shows proposed grading on every lot, every road, every stormwater control. And we look at the pathways in which the water goes. And now some of those lots do require some fill. And the reason for that is because we have to make everything work, and we have to have driveways sloping down into the roadways, our roadways, not Pine's. None of the driveways in this development are going out onto Pine. But one of the requirements we have is to control the quality of the runoff that comes off of the driveways. In order to do that, we have to pitch it down into the roadway and it gets collected in the roadway stormwater management controls. None of the proposed grading on the site makes anything from the site slope into Pine Street.
Can I add?
Sure, Tim.
And I think if anybody wants to look at the peer reviewer's report, should be available in the Dropbox, correct, Paul? One of the requests or recommendations from the peer reviewer working for the town is that the applicant provide a fill analysis or a cut and fill analysis. So,
Again, that is accurate, and the reason he's asking for that is to determine how many trucks are going to have to bring fill onto the site. But Mr. Andrunas will likely be building the roadways and the infrastructure for this project, and I assure you he's going to want to try to balance the site as best he can and bring as little on or as little off as possible.
I got a
we have,
question.
I know we had one more on Zoom, but they don't have their hand up anymore.
I think they're gone. I don't see any more on Zoom with a hand raised. Sir, if you'd like to step up. And just name and address for the record, please. Thank you.
Thanks. Pat Daly, 149 Pine Street. I know that they issued a ORAD back 12/20/21 with conservation. I'm assuming that's what was used for these plans. But I believe it's a 3-year duration.
Yes.
So is that going to have to be reissued again and then new plans submitted?
Once a project's applied for, that ORAD line will be locked in.
Okay.
My understanding is you haven't received your approval from conservation, so haven't even submitted. So the ORAD, all of that will have to be updated.
Okay.
Yeah.
But a lot of those were used to develop these plans, correct?
That would really be, Chair, that would.
If you want to ask
Yeah, that's
all
fine.
your questions, and I'll let Bob come up.
And then the only other question I had, this is close, this is, in a Zone 2 area. It's upstream from the interim wellhead protection area. As far as heating for these structures, just wanted to confirm that there's going to be no underground storage tanks for oil or anything else. That's it. Thanks.
Okay, so as far as the ORAD expiring, it has not expired. It's I will check with LEC Environmental about this, but they have verified to me that the ORAD is not expired, and we can check with Mr. Thomas from the Concom as well. There are some things that the state government, due to the pandemic and other economic issues, has given blanket approval to extend the certain permits, depending on when they were issued and whatnot. And I believe that this one fell into that. But again, I don't know that for a fact, and I will check with Claire Hogaboom from LEC Environmental on that. But
that ORAD would be...
I'm certain the ORAD is still valid.
That would be locked. As soon as you apply to conservation, that puts a freeze on...
If they issue an order of conditions for the work here, that gives us another 3 years on the line anyway. So.
They had raised a question about, are there regulations about storage tanks in a Zone 2 that I don't think I know we talked about it when we were talking about gas stations, but I forget if there are specific regulations for a Zone 2 for residential.
So the heat is, primary is electric, and the only underground tanks are for propane, which is for cooking stove and fireplaces. But there's no oil, or there hasn't been on any of them. It's highly unlikely there'll be any oil tanks above or underground. That's not happening. Okay.
Steve, did you have a question?
Yeah, another couple comments. One, in the original subdivision plan, that you have to count the density. As we discussed with the project the other day, all subdivisions have to have an open space area, not just cluster developments, but the subdivision has to have an open space area. That's not accounted for in the first plan?
So the comment is that the capacity plan, I forget what the name for it is, doesn't show
Doesn't show what would
doesn't
be-
show an open space that would be required under the subdivision law.
Technically, yes. Secondly, in order to achieve the density that they're saying, the number of houses, they require the dead-end street, which they need a waiver for. Does that count as the maximum density they could achieve?
I think we're under the waiver length for dead-end streets.
All dead-end streets need a waiver. They just can't be more than 1,000.
Right.
All dead-end
And
streets.
exceed 13 units.
Or exceed 13 units, yeah. They can't exceed 13, they can't be more than 1,000. All of them need a waiver. So if we didn't grant that waiver, they would not be able to put that dead end there. And the density would be different. So does that count, like, just to, have that discussion? And then to go on one more with the open space. On the cluster development plan, you have the smaller open space area on the side. That needs to have access for vehicles also. It says all open space areas need to have dry access for emergency and maintenance vehicles. Whether it's an easement or something. Okay.
Yeah. Their alternative would just be to tie it into, what is that, lots 8 and 9?
Correct, and just take it away from the open space.
Yeah.
We can put that question on Brennan's list. Paul, add it to Mr. Brennan's comments, please. I don't see anybody on Zoom with the raised hand. Anybody else in person? Mr. Kimball.
Rob Kimball, 51 Pine Street. Just for clarification, and I've been out of it for a while, so I'm not quite clear what's going on with this, but when you build apartment buildings, a percentage of that goes to affordable housing. Years ago, when we used to build a project like this, when it hit a certain number would trigger, having to have affordable housing. And I don't know where that is anymore, but I haven't been paying attention, but I'm just curious, maybe someone can answer that question. Is there any affordable housing in this one? Or any of the other buildings that are going down there now, as far as
Paul, that one's
that
for you.
goes?
That's an easy one.
Yeah, they actually do trigger affordable housing because they're over 6 lots. So 10% of these 3 units. And what the applicant has said is rather than construct them, they would like to pay the payment in lieu of $200,000 per lot, or $600,000.
That's what I recall. I guess my concern is, we are on the cross, as you all know, we're roughly 10.1% right now on affordable housing. And every time we build units like this, we're triggering the very, very good possibility of going backwards. And then we've got a developer coming in with 72 units of affordable housing we have no control over whatsoever because the state mandates it under the comprehensive permitting process. So I would encourage the board any time that we don't do this. It's generous that they're giving us $2,000, per unit. I agree with that. That's
200,000.
200,000. That's a lot of cash, and I appreciate that. But that 200,000 could trigger on the affordable side a lot more cost to the town because of it. So I know the apartments work differently than the housing. I was just curious about this. So did this happen on the other developments still on Pine Street? Did they pay the 200,000 or did they?
They did not pay. I don't know that.
Could I address something about this that I think is incorrect? I think we talked about this last year at some point and during the zoning bylaw update where we can't enforce
That's
this for these projects.
It
It's
was in
only
the
for
zoning
apartments.
recode discussion that we,
The enforcement of this is against mass law.
Yeah, it's
The affordable housing on these kinds of projects.
No,
that's not the code.
That's a whole That's a separate discussion.
Our bylaw is incorrectly applying that now.
Yes. No, I think
Needs to be reviewed.
To Mr. Kimmel's point, I don't think we have I think the applicant has the ability to choose.
Right.
I don't think we
By
have
our
the
bylaw,
ability.
yes.
I don't think we have the ability to tell them we don't want the payment,
Okay.
that we want the affordable. I don't think
right.
that's something that we can do.
Is
under
that
the-
something else that
No,
we?
no, no.
I know what you're saying,
There's a choice
Steve.
for the apartments, but in this kind of a project,
Oh, I know. Yeah.
it just doesn't apply.
Well,
It used to.
yeah, we can.
It's according to our bylaw, but not according to mass law. So are we
Correct.
violating mass law by trying to apply this? Are we going to get sued
That
for
is a
several
question.
$100,000 for each apartment back?
That is a question. Yes.
Okay, we need to be very careful here.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't see any other hands raised in the Zoom, and I don't see anybody else in person. Bob, if you'd like to step up to the microphone for a little scheduling talk. We have 2 meetings scheduled in February, 2 in March, 1 in April, and we have town election after our April meeting, in which there's several seats up. So we have to button this up fairly quickly, if you know what I'm saying.
I understand. If you don't mind, it's unlikely that I'm going to be able to respond to Pat and get a response back from Pat Brennan in 2 weeks' time.
No, you probably need March 17th at the earliest, is what I was thinking.
I would say even the later one in February might be able to work.
Put you on for February 24th. If we can't get it done in
Please,
time, we'll continue.
Please, I'll continue if we can't get it done. I'm assuming you'd like me to have a response from Pat at that time.
Other than that, that's the biggest thing we're waiting for, other than the few little things that we talked about tonight. That is probably the biggest item outstanding.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. There'll be more to talk about. Otherwise, there won't be a lot to talk about. So that's, if you don't mind, the late February meeting, and I'll continue if need be.
So that would be, Chair would entertain a motion to continue definitive plan 3 and special permit 36 for 0 Pine Street to February 24th.
So moved.
Seconded.
We have a motion by Bridget, second by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thanks, Alan.
Last item on our agenda for tonight, site plan modification, SPR 19 for 108 West Main Street. The owner applicant is Medical Realty Trust. The applicant seeks to remove an existing office building and build a 3-story top-of-the-shop building with 5 residential units. Good evening.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Sam Wydack on behalf of ShareCorp. Basically, we're going to be doing the work for Medical Realty. The description was a little deceiving. We're not demolishing the existing building. We're going to just retrofit it, and we're going to go up. The existing building has housed a renter for about 25 years. They had moved out, and subsequently, with the this new top of the shop, we're just trying to see if it's by right and kind of just do what we can.
So this is going to be a site plan approval. There's no special permits leaked to this, so
Yes, sir.
it's a different animal than approving special permits. We're strictly looking at the site. If there's nothing else, I'll have members of the board ask you any questions. If there's nothing.
Please do.
Steve,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start off with the same thing. There has been debate recently about how we can use top of the shop, whether it covers the uses within it or not. We got word from council that we can use it as a by right use, meaning in a way anything can go there. That's what town council said. That's what the building inspector said. It's up to us to determine. And part of the board believes that that's how it can be applied. Where you're located, multifamily is allowed generally by special permit. I would personally want to see a special permit pulled for the multifamily aspect. Most of the board, I don't think, feels that way. But you're only asking for 5 units. It's retrofitting a building that already exists, and the height falls within even the residential range. So I really don't see much of an issue with this overall. I have my anomaly there. But
I'll adjust
otherwise-
that for 1 second. I agree on your, call it anomaly. It's definitely something we had addressed and fixed in the bylaw update. It's definitely,
Right.
I think we recognized it and we
Right.
talked about it in the bylaw update. And I think the only path forward, projects that have applied under it are applying under our existing bylaw as they're allowed to right now. Our only recourse going forward is to get something on fall town meeting and
Yeah.
clarify that language. And it's
would-
very simple. It's a very simple addition, just like we have in MMOD.
I would be hesitant to wait till fall meeting. It's such a simple change to make.
I think our guidance is going to be all zoning and land use things are going to be fall town meeting and all.
But then
and everything is going to be spring. And that's, I believe, what we're going to be following.
I can imagine over the summer months, over
However-
the next 6 months, we might get a lot more applications.
However, any resident, anybody can bring anything they want in front of town meeting.
Fair enough.
I'll give you homework.
But yeah, otherwise, this fits every other criteria other than that anomaly in my mind.
And I'm just showing the language Steve had, and I believe, Steve, this came directly from the bylaw update, right, for the top of the shop.
Yeah, this came from, well, I reworded it slightly, but I included exactly what our town council quoted as what we could use to enforce the uses. So that covers it, and I added the same thing to mixed use development. The top of the shop, I slightly reworded it, but it means the same thing, I believe. If we feel like it needs to be edited, everybody should put in input, but.
I think we can add it as an agenda item one night and start discussing it. And like I
Okay.
said, there's probably 3 or 4 things we want to get, small things like, not small, but things like this.
Yeah.
Small updates that we'd like to put
Okay.
probably in separate articles. I think is
Yeah.
the only way we're going to be able to address this going forward.
Sure. And we don't have to continue on this because we got his, but there's a little bit further where I did write in another section that like basically restates that each use has to be permitted separately from top of the shop. So it's just says it in the bylaw also instead of just in the definition.
We will,
yeah, let's go
I've been
over it.
already talked to Paul about it and we're going to figure out a meeting where it makes sense in the near future.
Okay.
And also kind of want anything going in front of town meeting, I think we should do with the new board. So maybe we can discuss it, maybe get it, or we can develop it a little, but I think that's, and we only got 5 meetings left.
Right.
So-
I would love to just get something rolling here, and I'm very hesitant to take any more time on it because we're going to come up to we just got like 5 projects recently. We're probably going to get another 5 or 10 over the next 6 months. So we want to get this in a spring meeting. It's so simple. And I don't think the crowd's going to fight us on it.
Never say simple in town meeting. in the same words.
But yeah, continue, I guess.
Any members of the board questions?
I say, Paul, with this lot plan here, am I wrong in saying, wow, that's a lot of parking spaces, or am I missing some of is it just because of the number of buildings that we're talking about here?
Yeah, we did a evaluation, and it should be on this plan. It does actually indicate the amount of spaces we do have for the comprised properties. Yes, the parcel is shown as 110 West Main Street to the left, 108 West Main Street to the right, and so you're just seeing all the parking spaces in association with both addresses.
Okay, yeah, I think that's kind of what I was getting a little bit of whiplash when I see 50s on here, and we're talking about adding 5 units above something. I go, wait a second, my brain had to recalibrate there.
Yeah, it looks like 14 of them at least might be associated with the condos or townhomes on the other side.
A couple comments I had written down. I don't see exactly on the plans. Do we have, I know this is all existing, but it's a new site plan in front of us and it's a modification. Do we have snow storage areas called out on here? I can't specifically see them.
We're actually not modifying the site plan.
You are modifying a site plan. That's what you're in front of us for. You're in front of us for a site plan modification.
Well, no, review.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're not changing any drainage. We're not changing any asphalt. But yeah, I guess if we need to indicate storage, I'm
Uh,
sure.
Do we have the fire department signed off, make sure there's no problems? We are adding height, we're adding things to the site. Have we have a fire department sign off?
I
yet
think
on this?
everybody's checked off in the system.
Yeah.
Fire's checked.
Fire's good. Any consideration to EV spaces, EV parking? New building code, you're gonna have to have
Understood.
EV.
But is that, that's just a question, is that for residential, like house, and this is an apartment complex? So, I mean, that's just with what we're moving forward, I just need a direction to go.
It's in code.
Yeah, for new homes, and I'm just curious if. we're
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
have
it's
to-
for commercial as
well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So there'll have to be some sort of pads indicated EV. with
Yeah, I don't think it needs to have a charger on it, but you need
No,
to
it just
like.
has to be ready.
A port.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not necessarily hamstrung on it. We can do it as a condition as far as maybe labeling snow storage areas and EV locations. I'd be comfortable with that.
Yeah. I assume. Well, I'm not seeing a whole lot of. I assume that snow's probably just pushed off the back by those dumpsters.
Most likely.
Yes. I mean, this building's been around.
Yeah,
for
it's been around
Yeah,
for 30 years.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
take
And
a wild
I
guess and say
plow
the
and
driveway
shovel it.
ends and snow gets pushed off the back there.
It's our standard.
Yeah.
It's on my standard list. It's on our site. This is technically a new site plan. I don't see any reason why.
Yeah.
Excuse me, why features that we require on every project, just because it's an existing use, it's being modified, so. At least that's how I look at it. If anyone disagrees with me, if you all disagree, that's fine. But I'm just saying merely they can update the plan at their will, and it can be a condition of the approval.
Yeah. And Paul, do we have I assume, is there a standard condition they can update plans for like Scribner marks or something like that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, that could be an administrative if it's.
Yeah.
And that could be the building commissioner saying this is an administrative change, small.
Okay.
It's Scrivener's. I mean, it wouldn't be a change to the site
Yeah.
plan.
No, that's fine. No, I was spelling, which is not cogent to what we're talking about.
If there's no other questions from the board, I'll go to our two members left in person. If anyone has a comment on this, if not, if you have comment, if you want to come up and. I don't see.
I don't see any hands raised in Zoom, but we do have.
There's no hands and there's no chat asking how to raise hands, so I think we're good.
We're good on Zoom. Thank you, Brian. Pleasure of the board. We can continue this. We can close the public hearing and vote on this right now with the conditions that we have listed. What's the pleasure?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So as I stated before, the chair would entertain a motion to approve site plan modification 19 for 108 West Main Street with our standard conditions plus location of EV ready spots with snow storage areas labeled.
So moved.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go.
That's crazy. That's amazing. Last time I think it was like 45 meetings.
If you want to stay, we can reopen it if you want. It's up to you.
Thanks. Have a good one.
You come back for our bylaws chat.
Unless anybody wants to talk about bylaw in town meeting. Rob?
I wrote up a document. If we want to take a moment to preview it real quick, it's not very long.
Oh, before we talk about that, it might be worth setting time aside just to not only go over what he's talking about, but say, what do we want to talk about at spring and fall at some meeting? Have it on some agenda, just so we can have all our ducks in a row and all that stuff. So
I'm thinking new board. First meeting of the new board.
I'm fine with that, but I would also let this current board have a say before we get to the new board.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Brainstorming is always good. It's nice to have some dialogue. I sit there for hours typing on my computer with nobody behind me saying if it's a good idea.
So
I wish I had that
meeting-
time.
Next meeting right
I
now, we
know.
just have a new one. That's the Zero West Main. That's Michael Larkin is coming back, and then One Abrew is for the second meeting. We didn't continue anything to the third tonight,
We did.
we?
The first one.
The first one was
Yes.
continued to the third.
Okay.
61.
No,
no. What?
Zero Mansfield's on February 3rd now.
Zero.
I knew it was one of them.
Yeah, I get that.
Zero
yeah.
Mansfield.
And Paul, could I get all the specs
West
for
Main, where
this?
was that?
All the layout and everything?
That's the one right there by the light.
The
It's on,
specs.
OpenGov.
Oh, I opened it up.
Yeah, yeah,
Mansfield
yeah.
Ave. It was there.
You
Okay.
can go to the Dropbox also.
I did go to the Dropbox.
Okay.
Should be 2026 meetings, then you gotta go to the address.
Is that
But
correct?
have you been? in
I'm
OpenGov
sorry,
yet?
Steve,
Robert,
what
I didn't
document did you want to look at quick? If not, the chair is fading.
Again, it's just under bylaw
You
SW
should have
underscore
got an activation in
TOS
your
multi.
email, though.
Like
You
Paul
have
has
to
it.
activate it.
I don't know if you have it on
West
your.
Main?
I don't know if you did.
I haven't
that
seen
yet.
it. Other than the top of shop brief thing, that's all I've seen.
It's a little bit further down. It's the same document.
Might be easier
But
to
it
go
just
into
it attacks a little bit with the multifamily too.
Oh, so going down
And that's
past the cemetery.
Paul, do you want to pull up Steve's doc real quick before
Steve's
I make the motion myself?
Yeah.
Brian or OpenGov. Brian.
What do you want?
Or and check your
Oh, just
spam.
putting
All
down
of mine went to my spam
something
junk
here.
email.
I'm okay. I'm good.
Yeah, I did check that. I got nothing.
No. Did you try to activate it yet?
Thing's kind of going a little.
This was all it.
No.
Okay, let's.
No. So you, Brian on our last email. Go back to your inbox. Okay.
Pull it up. Which one, Steve, do you want?
One
was definition.
It's
You have to
bylaw
ask
SW.
Brian.
It's underscore TOS multi.
Activate your OpenGov account.
The
I'm
fixed
all-
screen?
like-
Yeah,
Okay.
not the one that says clean.
Look at it if you
Yeah.
need it.
So in this.
I'm out of tea, Steve, and I'm going to start coughing like crazy, so I'm just telling you.
They're all in here. So when we talk about
Well, no, I
like,
didn't
the
drink
number,
a drink, so I'm
this is
coughing
what
on it.
Evan,
we're talking about.
elevator
You can
pitch.
go and you can see like the checklist of.
I
who's
mean,
doing
I
what,
really kind of just want to
all
run
the
it with you guys
attachments they
first. So it's
upload,
like,
so talk to Brian.
This one,
you know, what
Steve?
we set up on this because you
Yeah.
definitely want this is like the bread and butter.
oh, sorry, no, not the one with the markings on it. The one that doesn't say clean. Is what,
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
They
violence.
both say
Just so we can
clean.
reference what was already there. Okay. So again, that's just quickly is just an update to the wording. If we go over it and want to change it, sure. But it's just definitions. If you want to go to the next section, if we just go through
My only
it, or-
thought is, do we make it specifically what we have already in the MMod?
Well, I kind of
We don't want two different definitions of top of shop.
no. I mean, this is changing the whole. This is. Well, what do you mean, like changing the definition?
Don't we have a specific definition called out in MMod for top of shop?
We
We could modify both at the same time. So they just match.
I was
the
just
same-
thinking, well,
Right, no, you're right.
we just did this, the MMod, why not?
Well, that's why, because it's different
Yeah.
in the M mod. So we're kind of matching back to the M mod thing, the underlining.
Yeah,
but-
if we do, if we change M mod now, that's the Attorney General taking a good hard look at this again.
Okay, so just put it as the exact wording that's in M mod.
Yeah.
I think that
'Cause-
just makes
'cause
it, it
that's
makes
fine.
it makes an explanation at town meeting so simple.
It's not a problem.
We're
We can
just
do it that way.
continuing a definition that we wanted to already, and we need to do this
Yeah.
right now.
Okay, that's not an issue. It still works as long as that underlined part goes in that the attorney said counts, and that's the same that's in M mod.
Yeah.
So
You're not on that screen right now if you were trying to show it, Paul.
yeah. So this is just the next section. This is just kind of so we can reference the districts better, and it needs to be updated anyways because it doesn't have M mod or the marijuana overlay written currently. It needs an update no matter what. So this is just an organization. Doesn't change anything. You can go a little further and you can see why I made the reference to like commercial districts. So there's a little bit of changes there. Not terrible, but like right now we regulate where the housing can be in the village center core. Why not just throw out any commercial zone? Like that's the beauty of the village center core is that like it places the housing in a good spot on the building. That should apply in the village center or a commercial, like whatever commercial zone we put housing, it should go on top. The bottom should be retail or something. So just kind of overlapping. If we don't need it, we don't need it. So aside from single-family homes, the accessories, and Dover amendments, all residential uses in a commercial zone should be on top. I don't know how the board feels about that, but I think it just forces the placement better. So like village center, village commercial rather, we allow duplexes, but they'd have to go on top. They just wouldn't be allowed to be built single, like just on as their own.
It's a large change.
Okay.
I like it though.
I mean, again, we can cut it down to the very simplest thing to fix this and then go forward from here. But I'm trying to, regulate it all as close to kind of the intent we had in the last one too. If you go a little bit further down, the dwelling units per building, we had this in the last thing, sort of, but not written this way. We discussed limiting the amount of units in a multifamily. So this is the way we could regulate how many. And if we think it's too many, it gives us permission to lower the maximum.
I don't know, how do you lower the max? Whatever's called out in the bylaw is what if it says 6, then you're allowed
He's saying up to, but they can go lower.
Well, I was saying, in part 3, it says, in any multifamily development, the permitted number of units per building may be reduced to, I can't see the end.
I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's there.
You know,
I don't know
by
how do you enforce
determination.
that. It's like unenforceable in my opinion. It's unclarifying to, someone can't read that and say, how does this apply to my lot? You know what I'm saying? There's no clarity to it. I can't have a lot right now and say, does this apply? I don't know if this apply. How would this be, how do I know what I can build?
Well, I suppose like it'd be like a village commercial lot would come. They know they can build up to 12, but if we don't feel like 12,
So we get to a meeting and then we say.
But
no.
if they go,
That can't be, the bylaw's gotta be fairly strict in my opinion and say, this is what you can do.
okay. So line C, either get rid of it or make it much more clear about how much the limit would be. But
I think what you'd want to do is get rid of 3 and then lower 12. Not, yeah. You want to, keep it simple on the developers.
yeah, I mean, I figured 12 was a reasonable number, but like it's whatever. I don't. The number part 3 or whatever can be scrapped. F is just for top to shop. Just again reiterating that the approval of the uses are separate from the approval of top of the shop itself.
So does that mean then are you issuing a separate approval for commercial and the residential?
If the use on the bottom is going to be a store, that's already allowed by right. So there's no special permit. If they wanted to put a warehouse on the bottom, they need a special permit. Right now, the determination says they can put a warehouse on the bottom by right.
Right.
So this is just saying that
If we change the definition as you had on the first page, then it refers you to the non-residential refers you back to the use table. Right.
it would.
Yeah.
And it would say, whatever. If the use is by special permit, then you need a special permit.
So you would need
for
a special permit for it in
Yeah.
addition to
Top of the shop
the
does not
site
guarantee
plan,
the
top
use
of the
in it.
shop. Okay.
No, you have to
Yeah.
defer back to the underlying zoning.
Yes.
I think
And
that's
this just
as simple-
reiterates that.
I think that's I don't even think you have to say that out, that's
I'd
just-
like to say it out, just as much as I could, just so we
That's
can.
just how it is though. You're not allowed to build something that's not allowed in the zoning.
Well, that's how I
As long
thought
as
it.
it's-
That's what I thought it was already, but
Well, as it hasn't been spelled out
yeah.
clearly.
If you go a little bit further, the special permits for certain uses. I don't know if we want this, but non-residential buildings that are over 35 feet tall. That's the residential height. That's the height of all residential neighborhoods. And again, in the commercial zone, a residential use has to go by the residential zoning criteria next to it, meaning 35 feet tall. So if a commercial building wants to be taller than 35 feet tall, they have to get a special permit.
I mean, generally, I think if it's going that big anyway, it would trigger our special permit criteria, most likely.
Probably because of the whole total floor area, but I guess you could build a tower.
Yeah, I mean, I
Skinny
think
tower.
what commercial or village commercial, you can go up to 45 feet?
Right, but because it has residential, you would be bound to the 35-foot rule.
So then why have the 45 at all?
It's
Because you're allowed to get there if you get a special permit. Why have any building go over 10,000 square feet?
but that is making it more restrictive, if I'm understanding.
It's making it more restrictive to non-residential buildings. But it's making it as restrictive as a residential building. Any residential
By right,
building
you
or
can do the
top to
same
shop-
as residential to go above and beyond residential.
Yeah.
Is what the
Top of the shop
what
is
it's
under
written.
residential.
Any top of the shop by right would still be limited to 35 feet because that's what our residential zone says.
Yeah.
All residential uses are bound by that 35-foot cap.
And this is just informal discussion because it's not on our agenda, so we
Bro,
can't
But
really.
this is just ideas off the cuff.
I think.
Give everybody needs time to think about it, for sure.
Yeah.
And then if we go beyond this to the next page, all that in yellow didn't get deleted. It just got reworded into the next section. So if you go down just a little bit. And this sort of just, right now we only allow multiple buildings for housing for the elderly in a commercial zone. So I've corrected that to mean we could put multiple buildings for top of the shop or mixed use developments that contain residential uses. So if there was a commercial property and it wanted 2 or 3 buildings on it and each building was top of the shop, that would be permitted. Right now, under our current code, we shouldn't be able to do that. Right now, you are not allowed to have multiple residential buildings in any commercial property.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's part of it. And then, again, reiterated, on any lot and within any building that contains more than one principal use, each principal use shall be subject to separate permitting and approval.
Okay. Alan, do you mind if I?
Go ahead.
Is it? Yeah, I think I need to read this more, Steve. But
Oh,
I
for
think my
sure.
initial reaction is I would be more inclined to support the stripped down Band-Aid version at this point in time.
I agree. But I want to just set, this is where I'm at. This is what I think we need.
Yeah.
I mean, this might not be triage, but this is things we
Yeah.
kind of need.
I think my brain is
1,000 things we kind of.
Right.
Yeah, I think my brain is triage only.
We just, exactly.
to avoid the you're just trying to backdoor the recode
Yeah.
paper cut at a time. We're going, this is a Band-Aid. This is why. Thank you very much.
I mean,
Good
that's what I'm
night.
kind of, it's the top of the shop use, the definition, the amount of units, and the scale of buildings.
Yeah.
But the top of the shop would regulate a lot of it right there.
Yeah. So
And I think that's pretty much it. There's a cluster development section. We don't have to go into that right now.
Thank God. Rob, the chair's looking for a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi everyone, it's Peter here.
Hi, Peter.
Hi guys, how you been? I was at the girls basketball game and they won 55-21 over Halsted.
Oh, yay.
All right, Peter. Thank you, sir. Have a good
Peter.
night.